Let's go to the Lowy poll and the information out there today about China. This is an incredibly important poll. We all pore over it as we do. Differing things. 3/4 of Australians say the poll believe it's likely China will be a military threat to Australia over the next 2 decades. However, a majority of us say we should remain neutral in the event of a conflict between China and the United States. Of course, we know that's likely to be over Taiwan. What insights have you got out of the poll?
Well, to be honest with you, Peter, I find these foreign affairs polls of very limited value because foreign affairs are not often really at the top of people's minds. So it's very often dependent on the wording of the question. Nonetheless, I think all the polls are clear that people have a negative view of the Chinese government. Well, you'd have to be blind Freddy not to have a negative view of the Chinese government after their behaviour over the last 5 or 7 years. Remaining neutral it's a problematic question because a conflict between China and the United States doesn't arise in a vacuum. It's not as if, they're both invited to a boxing ring or something. What you'd have is a process of ongoing aggression and escalation by the Chinese against an innocent democracy, namely Taiwan. Now, I think that process would polarise the Australian people against the Chinese government and in support of the Americans. One thing is absolutely clear: if there ever is a conflict between China and the United States over Taiwan and we stay neutral, that's it. That's the end of the American alliance. It's completely finished, and we have no security at all after that. And also, we then would be accepting the principle that innocent democracies of about 25 million people should be crushed by dictatorships and no one should lend a hand. I find that poll of limited value because you'd have to actually see the context of how a conflict arose.